What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode 477. My name is Steve. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show. And as always, I'm joined by...
Rob.
And, you'd think I would have had my quote pulled up.
What if that's a quote from the...
That's a quote, right?
No, there was some debate between my wife and I about what my quote should be. Okay. And so I had my options in a little sticky, but I didn't have it pulled up. So let's just imagine that I seamlessly... When it came around to me, I said, now that is a big trunk. It holds a tuba, a suitcase, a dead dog, and a garment bag almost perfectly.
Be a great trunk if it was perfectly.
I know. It's the almost perfectly that kills me about that line.
Yeah, it's so good.
But yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to our required viewing here in a minute. But I know we wanted to have news. Did anyone else watch MTV News back in the days when they had the globe and the typewriter letters that would come up and it would go?
Yes.
Love it. Kurt Loder.
Kurt Loder. Boy, that is a guy who aged.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I love the guy, and I love people who age, and I hope I get to age one day. But he's definitely one of those people who, when you saw him, having aged, it's like, man, maybe Kurt Loder was living rougher than I thought.
It's funny you say that. I feel like I saw an image of him in the last month or two. Maybe it was around when all the MTV stuff was officially shutting down. But yeah, it definitely was a reminder. He's
75, right? He's up there.
He is old.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I love craggly old people. I think they look great. But if somebody has to get craggly. I mean, you know what I mean? Not everybody can not be craggly. So it's you don't see it necessarily when somebody's young. But maybe there's a way to track that craggly thing where you can just say, man, this person's going to have a whole future as a character actor if they want it.
Yeah.
I always thought he was cool.
Yeah, he was
super cool.
Amazing. He went from an MTV looking correspondent to a British invasion. Man, he looks like a British dude now.
Yeah.
I love the craggly term. I think that's how we rate everything. There's a craggle factor as you age.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking of an obvious, maybe not the guy who's the leader of the craggled, but the guy who, if you're going to say craggly, what actor do you think might be in the top? He's definitely he's on the Mount Rushmore of craggle. Well, otherwise known as Craggle Rock.
Yes. We're on to something here, guys. I don't know why. I mean, I don't even think it's really, I don't know. The first person that came to mind was Harrison Ford.
Okay.
But I think he's on the mountain somewhere, maybe not at the peak, but
he has definitely aged into being craggly for sure.
I feel especially watching Shrinking, recently. I love him and he's amazing on that show. But he's kind of aged nicely. But if you just look at him right now, I feel like he looks pretty craggly.
Well, I think what happened with Harrison Ford is that it emphasizes how much of his on-screen persona that we love is him being a grump. Yeah.
Yes.
And the older he gets, the more grumpy 100%. He seems. I'll let you go, Ronald. But then I have the one name that's stuck in my head.
My number one draft pick, and this is why I chose him. There's no human that has looked this old for this long on screen, and I will submit Morgan Freeman. Even when he was young, he still looked like he was in his 60s.
Okay, I'm going to see your Morgan Freeman and raise you the one actor I thought you were talking about when you said this actor has looked old for as long as you can remember, and that is Mr. Tommy Lee Jones.
That's a good one.
That's probably peak right there.
Yeah. And Tommy Lee Jones and him together. Oh God, that's peak craggle.
Didn't they do some kind of movie together?
They were isn't it a Clint Eastwood movie?
Yeah, that's got to be the nexus point for those guys. Is
they cross over.
Down in Craggle Rock, boom,
boom.
Anyway, Ronald, you had a piece of news you wanted to mention, I think.
Oh, yes. It looks as if A24 has acquired the TV and movie rights to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is pretty huge. I mean, A24 is always kind of, first and foremost, they're gang, but
Gang
they've
gang.
also always presented themselves as this little engine that could. And, they're scrappy and they tend to take a small budget and make things look pretty incredible. Um, and so this is pretty cool news. And especially at a time where A24 is kind of lost its luster in the horror category. I don't know if they have for everything else. It feels like the horror category they were kind of dipping off a little bit in the past couple years.
Well, they kind of owned it for a while,
They
and I think
owned it,
now
man.
there's
Yeah.
even a genre of like A24, like when a neon horror film
Neon,
comes
man.
out. But I'm just saying, and I think in my mind that's still in the A24 genre of film. So I'm like, oh, this is a neon thing. But I think,
Yeah.
I think it's just that there's more people doing what they were doing. And so it feels less like they have this corner on the market where they're doing the kind of, again, we hate the term elevated horror, but they're doing this sort of whatever that equivalent is of like horror that doesn't have to go right down the middle,
Yeah.
in terms of meeting the genre checklist. And that can result in some stuff that's pretty close to a mainstream horror film, and it can result in some stuff that is, more atmospheric. And so I think sometimes we love those movies and sometimes we kind of roll our eyes at the way they're marketed, as the scariest thing in the world. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I have not done the due diligence of like tracking A24's, like, because of what we just said. I haven't really been sorting in my mind what's an A24 movie the way that I had for a few years there. There were like 3 or 4 in a row movies they put out that I was like, that's one of my favorite movies I've seen in a while. And they seem to be championing these weird small films, or small films by directors who deserved, a shot or whatever. So I think it's harder for me to say like, oh, what is their roster looking like right now? I couldn't tell you what the last 2 or 3 A24 films I saw were. Is there a
One
list?
of the ones
Marty
that,
Supreme, right?
yeah, Marty Supreme.
Yeah,
I
and
was
that's a
going to
huge
say,
success, right?
Yeah.
in terms of horror, Megan was the one that I thought was the, isn't that
No,
A24?
that's Blumhouse.
Yeah, never mind then. Oh, Death of a Unicorn. There were a couple of ones that came out that just didn't do.
Are they going to revoke your gang card for not knowing this,
I know,
Ronald?
man. That's a
Well, they
swing
had,
and a miss.
yeah, they had,
Y2K. That was another
and
one.
no, the Bringer Back was them this year or last year. Bring Her Back, the Philippou Brothers was A24. But I don't know. Recently, a couple years ago, they had well, was it Bodies?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Recently, it definitely has been a drop off. They had the last film in that Ty West, the Maxine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They've had some stuff. Yeah, Unicorn was one of them recently. To your point, Ronald. But yeah, I don't know. I think you're
Well,
right.
Eddington this year or last year
Yeah.
was them. So that's something. And then Sorry Baby,
I
I didn't
thought
see that
Eddington
one.
was going to do better. Like, it's weird. Eddington had this buzz behind it, and I thought that it was going to do better in the movies, and it just didn't for some reason.
Yeah.
If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You had a little bit of steam behind it.
Yeah. But Marty Supreme is the big one, man.
Yeah. No, there's definitely.
The most exciting thing for me with this is, obviously I support Gang because I support you, Ronald, and your and your loves. But I just think when I saw the announcement and even stuff that was kind of being talked about a little while ago, JT Molner's association with it is like a really exciting thing for me. He was the writer director of Strange Darling, and he also wrote The Long Walk this past year, the Stephen King film. So he's going to be involved with this, which I think is really great. I think it both in a, I think he has some hand in the writing, but I know he's directing the series or supposed to direct the series. Glenn Powell is involved in it, like as a producer, which is kind of wild.
That's interesting. That's interesting to me. I didn't.
Yeah, apparently
Didn't know
this
that.
has been going on for like a while. Like he's had this want to be involved with a Texas Chainsaw type of remake. Whether it was a movie or a series, but I mean, he's on there as the producer, like an executive producer. But yeah, I don't know. JT Mulner, he's like a really exciting filmmaker. Like I really love Strange Darling. I really, really like The Long Walk, and I just really like him. Like he's a really good follow on social media, and like the interviews I've seen with him during the PR run for Strange Darling was really kind of like a cool voice to hear from, and especially in the horror space. So, would be awesome to see. Texas Chainsaw is not one of my Mount Rushmore properties. I mean, we talked about it before on the pod. Like, not even a hot take, because some people, I think it's more of a generational thing. Like, I like the remake more than the original.
Yeah.
But I would definitely watch more movies like it or a series like it. I think there could be some really cool ideas for something like that. I mean,
well, the A24 imprint and him, the Molnar, you said it's
JT Mulner. Yeah.
JT Molnar. That idea, because it's not just that Strange Darling was a good movie. It's that like one of the things that was best about it was the way that it was put together, and like the exact thing that a director might port over from, as a stylistic thing. Like that, you could expect this movie to have a little bit of style, and it makes me wonder if his presence and what we know about what he can do makes me think, oh, I wonder if this version being under the A24 umbrella means you can kind of bridge the gap between that kind of slick remake, which I agree is a pretty strong remake. But I think the one thing that makes it like the one edge that the OG has for me is the weird art film almost aspect that makes it feel almost like you're being voyeuristic when you're watching it. Like this it's not found footage, but it almost feels like, who made this? Is this a snuff film? It's got this gritty grossness to it. And I could see somebody bridging the gap between again, the elevated quote unquote idea, but just making something that's a little bit more experimental, but still in that world. And also the way that the personality of the killer or killers plays into Texas Chainsaw so much. I think that like Strange Darling is a really good example of a movie where having the killer be someone whose personality you're acquainted with, and you kind of get to know them, and they talk. Like, I feel like it's, I think he could handle that family in Texas Chainsaw pretty well. So that's pretty promising. I mean, I don't need a remake of it at this point. I don't need a reboot of it. I don't need an announced trilogy or whatever. But if you're gonna have a project that sounds kind of promising, that's good talent to have attached, and that's a cool studio to be doing something that maybe they've done this before, right? I feel like they've had a movie or two that was like a little bit of a play for the mainstream. This feels grabbier than some of their other titles, but I can't think of what it was. What was it, Ronald? Do you know what I'm talking about? Something they did A24 had that felt like a bigger, down the middle.
X trilogy feels like it was kind of going for that.
I guess you're right.
Yeah, it feels like that was like one of the ones that.
Yeah, I mean, X for sure felt like a Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, the first two especially really felt like they were taking a swing at the mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's some cool news, man. I'm interested. I'll check it out. We'll see how it turns out. I'll always give Gang Gang a chance. Yeah.
I mean, why stop now?
Why stop now? That's a good question.
You're in too deep.
Too deep.
Cool. Any other
in too
news
deep
or
with Gang
exciting?
Gang, the Ronald James story.
Speaking of Gang Gang, there was that trailer with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, it looks like it's one of those things where you kind of tell a truth as you're getting towards the marriage portion of your relationship, and something comes out that just ruins it. Maybe something a little too revealing about a person that maybe you may have wanted to know 20 years from now, 30 years from, or maybe never. It just looks like it's cool. It looks like it's based on a book, right? Is it?
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with it. I know I know I saw the posters, and I think Aaron was talking about the trailer, but I haven't actually seen it myself.
But it looks good. It's called The Drama.
Yeah. I saw.
I got
something
a
about that.
I got a note from our HR PR department that we have to be careful with the word craggly. We may want to reconsider. They
Okay.
just passed me a red flag and asked, and they sent like, "Are we trying to get canceled?" So we just want to be aware.
Yeah.
That's our HR PR.
HRP, I like
Yeah.
that.
Just so for those of the craggle nature, we apologize.
We apologize.
I think we brought up beloved actors with faces that we
we did.
enjoy. We want to see them carved into rock. I don't know that we're. If I lived long enough to be craggly,
Yeah.
Oh, to be so craggly.
I'll
Right.
be smiling about it.
I mean, we could have really went in. We could have said like side of mountain face looking ass. We could have just went on a very like a roasting sort
Oh,
of
they
thing.
said you can't say that either.
Okay. That's even worse.
She's about to put a remote stop on all this recording.
Gross stuff. Speaking of just a super random story, when I was living downtown, I had I'm big into sweaters. Anybody that knows when it gets a little cold, I like to wear sweaters. And I was living in the Fells Point area of Baltimore, and I came out the threshold of my apartment building, and a young man didn't look any older than 18 said, "Richard Cunningham sweater looking ass." Like as I exited, he did it so fast. I was like, "What?" I was like, "How do you know that?" He's like, "I watch TV." That was his answer. How does this kid that was significantly younger than me watch that show? It was a very funny.
Yeah, that's a good pull, I guess.
Yeah.
Good reference.
Really came for you with that one.
Yeah.
Quickly. It's
It's almost like he was waiting with it, like he
Right.
wanted to use it on someone.
Yeah,
He's been watching Happy Days, thinking like, man, I hope I see some
hope
guy
so, man.
in a Richie Cunningham sweater.
He's like,
Cunningham
"Oh, it's
sweater
cold.
looking-
I'm about to find somebody."
Yeah,
And you were
Richard
that
Cunningham.
somebody.
Yeah, he
When
said it
I
so
do,
fast.
oh, when I do.
Oh, what I do.
Good stuff. Good
Crazy.
stuff.
Was that
So
all
what's
the
up,
news?
guys? We got a required viewing to talk about, right, John?
Yes, we
Want
do.
to tell us about it again?
Yes, I will remember this time to click my background image. There we
There
go.
it
Oh,
is.
that's good. Oh,
You like blend right in with them.
I know, exactly. I don't think I didn't notice that while watching this film. That I have aged, perhaps past the. This will happen to you. It happens to us all, where you're like, "Wait, how old is this character supposed to be? 50? Oh shit!" But yeah, Wonder Boys, Curtis Hanson's film, adapted from a Michael Chabon book with a script by Steve Kloves, and starring Michael Douglas and Robert Downy Jr. and Tobey Maguire before they were in Marvel stuff, and Katie Holmes before she was in a DC thing.
You say in a DC
Yeah,
thing.
he was in one DC thing, right? And Alan Tudyk before he was a robot in Star Wars and all that other stuff. So this and also Rob McElhenney, or should I say Rob Mack, in
Rob
like
Mack.
a no line role as another student at the school that we see at a party and then at a convention hall. And then Jane Addams as a waitress. I don't know. There's just lots of people at an earlier point in their career than when you kind of remember them breaking or becoming ubiquitous. So it's a fun little time capsule in that way. It's like it's fun to see Robert Downey Jr. when he was like the first version of Robert Downey Jr., where he was known to be kind of an oddball with all these stories about him and stuff, and he's popping up in a film, but he's not in a film that's built around making you think he's the best guy or the worst guy. And Tobey Maguire, this is kind of before he staked out his territory of the sort of sensitive emo boy roles that he would play rather well, but like this is like a little early. And for all of them, even for Michael Douglas, this is clearly drafting off of Big Lebowski in some way for him to see like, oh, what Jeff Bridges was able to do with that, and then to say, yeah, I'll gain 25 pounds. Supposedly he ate pizza and drank beer and, you know, had a lot of fun gaining weight for this role. So I don't know. I just think that it feels like a real time capsule, and in some ways that made me kind of put my teeth on edge while watching it. Like, oh shit, is this movie going to not have aged well? And I would say it's aged reasonably well. I think there's one word that gets used for a trans person in the film that, or a seeming, it's hard to know. That I think this is an earlier era where people weren't defining gender identities quite as clearly, and so there's a term that really hit my ear funny, but at the time I realized it was meant to be a correct term, you know, so it wasn't meant to be a pejorative term the way that it's used, except in a couple of little lines where it's like you can tell they're still playing with the oddity of this rather than the humanity, but there's a lot of humanity given to that character as well. So it's like in a film full of kind of over the top characters, I would say that the trans person or the person of ambiguous gender identity, it's like that's not defined in the film, they're treated sensitively by the film. But I would say that was something where I started to get nervous every time they would say that word. I was like, oh, we don't really use that word anymore. Anyway, I would say other than that, it was a time capsule in a good way. It really reminded me of when I first saw this film, how much I enjoyed it. And I think what happened was this was in the era of buying movies on DVD pretty much whenever I would see them come out. And so this was one that I must have watched 2 or 3 times shortly after it came out and then haven't watched since. So it's been at least 20 years, probably 22 or 23 years for me since the last time I saw this. So it really did feel like, oh, wow, it's funny how I have now aged, you know, to the age or past the age of this character. Whereas at the time, that seemed so far away, this idea of, you know, just what the existential crisis the character is going through. And that was kind of how I introed this pick last week, was just this idea of the existential crisis, the sort of privileged existential crisis of a mid-career or late-career person who had some success, but not as much as they thought they should, or whatever. You always wonder, are you going to be able to get into the mind of a character like that? Or are their concerns going to seem a little too like, eye rolling? But I feel like the humor around these characters and the way they relate to each other, and also just the look at the sort of literary world around a small college, this idea of there's a writers or a literary convention happening on campus. And so we're getting to see all these personalities that are swooping in, writers and editors and people who are trying to sign people who are looking for a shot. I felt like it's always fun when something takes a little bit of a dive into a world that I think is reasonably assured that Michael Chabon, the author of the book, knows that world pretty well. And I think he was also a teacher. So I think there is a lot of, kind of inside baseball stuff about the business. And you know, just I can imagine the pressure. I do think writing, what is it? He had 2,600 pages written on his second book, and it was kind of going nowhere. Yeah. I have never quite done that, but I have definitely had projects that have become like too big in my mind for me to properly address them. So yeah, there's a lot to relate to. And I guess before I say anything else, I'll throw it to you guys. Have you both already seen this before? Ronald, had you seen this before?
No, I've never seen it.
Okay, was it on your radar at all? Had it come up over the years and you'd noticed it?
No,
okay.
No, I've never seen it. I mean, I think I remember seeing the cover at some point, but no. I'm glad that you suggested it. It really felt like it had a lot more heart than I was expecting. No, even with the trans joke was more of like is this person? I'm like, this person's amazing. Like, are they who we think they are? Okay, all right, yeah, it's kind of like that, which didn't feel too bad, because like that could have dragged on for way longer than that, and it was. I thought, like you said, like. Term wasn't great, but it really was handled in a really interesting way.
Like the character was not made to be the butt of the joke. The butt of the joke was the people figuring out what was going on with that character. But it wasn't treated as this oddity. It was treated like they all. And the one thing I will say that made me, and again, this makes me sound so woke. I apologize, but like I thought it was cool they used the proper pronouns. They called the character she.
Right.
Even while they were having this discussion about what this other matter, they never like rolled their eyes at saying she about this character. So I think that's where you're talking about, like the heart. It feels like Michael Chabon was, again, as I've said before, progressive for a past age. Was 25 years later is going to feel a little bit dated. For sure. I'm never too offended by that stuff. But I thought it was, again, handled really well, especially like you said, especially considering it was made when it was made. It could have. That was the opposite of how things were treated back then, especially. But I do think the whole like idea of having these kind of Peter Pan-esque sort of 1 foot in adulthood, 1 foot out of adulthood sort of things, there is a business of being a student / teacher that I've always thought was really interesting because, my mom and a lot of her friends were like in a nonprofit sector, and you could be a student for the rest of your life. You could kind of float around on stipends, and it's a business. You know how it is. And research, like you're doing research, you're working at this, you're you're teaching this class in the summers, and then you're doing research in the fall. No, it's definitely like a vortex that people get caught in.
And
academia.
You can meet people who are kind of like 25 who are 50. You know what I mean? Like it's just I'm IT. I mean, I'm IT in those spaces. So you meet people who are kind of grew up with people that were like, they got into the field when they were 20. They've only just moved up because everybody died around them. It's an interesting thing, man. Like,
it's actually something we need to check this situation out. It's a little suspicious.
Right. A murder mystery.
Yeah, it happened at an office retreat.
Right. It's just really interesting the way that the business of education is, and just kind of, that part I really am familiar with. But the writing portion is really intriguing, and I love the way that Michael Douglas's character takes Tobey Maguire under his wing. I mean, this kid obviously has some issues, and they're treating him like shit when he goes to this class. They're like, look, I've been in a creative writing class. I've been in a writing class. I've never had people be like, this is trash. It's the worst thing. Why are people talking to him like this?
I've been in a couple of critiques that turned against me like that. That were like at a school where the teachers, I wouldn't say, I'm not like suggesting anything that the teacher shouldn't have been allowing, but like at schools where the teacher or classes where the teacher was like not going to step in on a critique and intervene if students are beating up on one student. He was going to kind of wait and see what happens. And so in one writing class and in one painting class, I've had a critique that turned against me where it's like, I realized, but it's like I had to remember all the times that I had critiqued someone's stuff, So it's like I probably came out of there with my face hot, feeling like embarrassed that something I thought was cool got trashed by 2 or 3 people. But I also remember there were times where I probably said some offhand remark. I mean, I don't know. I think in looking back in perspective, I don't think it was purely vindictive, but I do think when people saw blood in the water and it was a chance to go after me, that just happens in life sometimes, especially like I do critiques in my classes that I teach now, and I try to make them as structured as possible so that it's like, any thoughts, any comments? Anybody have anything they want to say? But not like firing squad style where you're making everybody opine about everything. So I don't know. I think that that felt very relatable, but I love later the way Tobey Maguire, his James Lear, his character, he's kind of amused about it almost when he's like, man, they really hate me. Like everybody really hates my writing in that class, but I think that obvious thing of, oh, they hate this guy. They go for this guy because he's probably gotten praise from the teacher in the past,
Right.
or they've witnessed this guy kind of float through the world and be this. He's not totally aggro, but there is something kind of like he's one of those. He's a shambles as a person, and I think the way that he sort of hooks up with Robert Downy Jr.'s character gives you this little window into the fact that he's not this like naive kid. He's the guy who's kind of on the prowl too. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's something kind of interesting about that. There's something interesting about that. Like, I mean, again, that stuff could feel very predatory. And in fact, there is the age gap thing there is a little bit like it's not commented on, but it's not like we're not supposed to think that Robert Downey Jr.'s character is a little bit of a mess himself. So the fact that he's, with a clearly adult but a very young person compared to him, maybe 10 years younger than him or something, or I don't know how old he's supposed to be, but
he's living with a student, and
and that part, he's got a student living in his house, and there's like this affection between them. But at least the movie had the sense to know. It's kind of like with the trans character, where it's like they have the sense to know, oh, we're not supposed to hint that there's romance between these characters.
Right.
In fact, they try to make it seem like there's not, but it's still, there's this weird level of like intimacy physically that feels just like you would either not do that now or you would comment on it, you would make some point of it. But yeah, Steve, had you seen this before? I think you had.
Yeah. I mean, not much to add. I mean, I when you mentioned it last week, I remembered loving the movie, and on the rewatch, I kind of still feel the same way. It's just kind of like a right down the middle kind of like, it's a comedy, it's dramatic, it's kind of funny, it's kind of
even got a little
dark
romance arc in it too.
Yeah, there's a bit of the romance is in there. I don't know. It's always I've always remembered it as kind of like really the kind of movie that they don't really make a lot anymore. In some ways, like you get something like this every once in a while. Like for some reason, watching it, I kept thinking of The Holdovers recently. Like kind of being not the same kind of movie, but like a similar vibe coming off of the movies after watching or feeling after watching them.
No, I thought of that movie too at a couple of parts. I think in some of the dialogue between James and Grady in particular, I thought this kind of teacher-student relationship where there's the lines are blurred a little bit of like who's learning from who. And I know that sounds corny, but when it's done right, it's actually very real.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. It's just great performances. I think it's some of Michael Douglas's best work. Like honestly, like I think he's really great in the movie. I mean, and most of the performances are really good. But yeah, it was definitely like just one of those like really just what's the word? Proficient drama comedy. Like it just was so well rounded in terms of like a well written, great story, good performances or great performances. And it's just also just really entertaining too. Like I didn't get, it's not a slow watch or boring or it's just I don't know. It's just a really entertaining movie that is not you don't see much like this anymore, and that's kind of what I felt on the rewatch specifically, outside of just remembering, kind of feeling about the same that I felt about it then. I mean, I remember really loving this movie when it first came out. What is this? Was this 2000 or 2001?
2000.
Yeah.
And I just looked. I never would have known. Budget $55 million, box office 33. So it really did not do well.
Oh no, it was kind of a flop. Yeah, and I think it kind of killed a lot of the momentum, like for the performances and things like that may have went otherwise. But yeah, I don't know. Just the takeaway was just Douglas's performance it's one of my favorites of his, and I think he's got a lot of great performances in his catalog. But this definitely stands out as one of the top for me. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I really, really enjoy Wonder Boys.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything that was like that we didn't really get to that is worth mentioning. I do think you mentioned him last week that Rip Torn has a small role in this, but he's really good in his small part. And I had almost forgotten about the plot line with Vernon Hardapple, which is a made up name they give the guy. But that's another example of a character where you're kind of gritting your teeth, going, "Wait a minute, what's going on with this guy?" And then as the movie rolls along, he becomes kind of one of the most like lovable characters in the whole thing. And like the fact that he's with the Ula, the pregnant waitress, and they intersect with their world at the end, and they like and he's even there for he's got some really funny lines in that scene where where Robert Downy Jr. Drives the car around, loses the book, and crashes the car.
So good.
But he's I don't know. I just think that character is one like that Vernon Hardapple. As soon as it got back to that guy when he was back on screen, I was like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten this little thread with this guy who's like, that's my motherfucking car. and like again, the weirdness of him like jumping on the car and just kind of jump and put like ass first into the car and then running off like that like it just feels. And then as we piece together what's actually going on there, how the car actually does belong to this guy and it shouldn't have been loaned to Grady in the first place. It's kind of what you're attesting to, Steve. Just the thread, the way the movie's put together, it really moves at a clip. You don't have time to get bogged down in anything. Even something that could be kind of upsetting, like, oh, they kill a dog. They brush past it with the kind of humor of him being like, I had to do it. He was like, well, couldn't you have pulled him off of me? And then later when he's like, go ahead, say it, you're mad at me, and he's like, all right, James, I wish you hadn't killed my girlfriend's dog. He says, what does he say? Like, I know me and Poe weren't always simpatico, but I don't think he deserved to take two in the chest. And you're right, Steve. Michael Douglas is just chewing on this dialogue. He's just great in this. It is one of the roles that defines in my head this kind of vision I have of him.
So good.
So yeah, no, it's a really heartwarming movie, and it's fun. Like I said before, it's fun to see these people before they became as defined in their brand. I mean, I know Robert Downy Jr. had been around for a while when this movie came out, but he hadn't become the guy who we now think of when we think of him, even Frances McDormand. It's not the most demanding role, but she's really kind of like, you totally believe it's one of those things where she's sort of the object of desire of the main character, and you totally get it. Like, she's so charming in this movie.
Totally.
So I think that means it's now Ronald's turn to pick a movie. And I forgot to do this last time, but I'm going to try to remember it every time. The official image that I put up when someone's picking the next pick is this one. All right, Ronald. Saddle up. What's our next pick?
All right. So I had a split in the road. I was going to do something fairly new. And I was thinking, should I do something that's like on the radar for possible, that could have been added on our list of movies for top movie of last year? And I said, no. I'm going to go The Dutchman. The Dutchman, 2025 is The Dutchman. Starring Kate Mara,
Andre Holland,
Andre Holland,
Zazie
Beetz, Aldous Hodge.
Dang, that's a cast.
Stephen McKinley Henderson. I mean, this cast is crazy, and I heard nothing about this movie. And it is now on video on demand.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was interested in it. I saw that Kate kind of seduces Andre Holland's character on the subway, and it looked interesting, but I didn't hear anything about it.
Hey, wow. Is this the same subway? Is this like a spinoff from House of Cards, where she was thrown in front of a train?
Oh yeah.
It's like we find out she actually didn't die. She's been down there in the tunnels all this time.
Apparently, a version of this came out in 1966, when interracial dating was like.
Blow my mind here, Ronald. What is that Negro boy doing with that white woman?
Racist used to be more cartoony. Oh God! All right, well that's cool. No, I like when somebody throws a movie out that I can honestly say I have not heard of this movie, but I've heard of like five people in it. So
crazy. Yeah, it's like huge people in it. And I hadn't heard shit about it. Like I remember seeing the trailer and then literally nothing about this movie.
Wow. Cool. Put it on the list. The Dutchman.
The Dutchman.
All right, well. What else have you guys watched? I haven't really watched a lot myself, I gotta say.
Weren't you guys going to talk about The Rip?
The Rip.
Oh, The Rip. Yeah, we didn't bring it up last week. We meant to, but yeah, like 2 Fridays ago, or maybe even 3 at this point. I can't remember. Netflix. Joe Carnahan's new action crime thriller dropped called The Rip. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Who else?
Tiana Taylor.
Yeah, Tiana Taylor. Kyle Chandler.
Steven
Yeun. Yeah, awesome. I mean, just like really great cast. Other faces pop up. Scott Adkins, you mentioned Ronald, the guy who plays Ben Affleck's brother in the movie. But yeah, I mean, this is just like I watched this the night it came out. Aaron and I were like ready to watch it. Obviously, I'm a Ben Affleck guy, and I'm really a Matt Damon guy. But like them together in an action movie I also like Joe Carnahan quite a bit. Or I find his movies very entertaining in the least. So we were ready to watch it, and I kind of really liked, if not loved, this movie. It moves at a clip. It's got some great like kind of action scenes in it. It's got some great kind of like this the questioning of the morals of these police officers, ones that appear to be good, ones that appear to be bad. Are they how they appear to be? And it just like it also plays entirely on that dynamic between Ben Affleck and Matt Damon that exists in the real world, but that anytime you get them on the screen together, that just comes off the screen in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's experience. But I don't know, it just got some the performances are really fun, action's great, it's shot really well, it looks really good. Like I mean, it's a Netflix film, but I mean it's really got some great cinematography, like nighttime shots and things like that look really great. But yeah, I really liked The Rip quite a bit. It felt like a 90s kind of like early kind of action movie that is not afraid to just be that, you know what I mean? Like it's not trying anything insane. It's got like a cool little, it's got a great kind of the pitch or the plot device of these what are they, I guess the Rips, like where they kind of find these stash houses and collect drugs and or cash or arms or whatever they're kind of going after. But to come upon one that is making possibly some people question their morals or their motivations is it's kind of a cool thing, especially when you meet the characters and see where they're at in their lives, and what that could do for their lives in some ways or another. But yeah, I don't know. Again, it's on Netflix. It's a big hit on Netflix already, but we're a little late to it. But I definitely wanted to mention it because I really liked it a lot. What did you think of it, Ronald?
I mean, end of watch, training day. There's that one with Christian Bale in LA. Like there's like these like hot locations, climate wise, beautiful settings, palm trees, and then the danger that exists within it. And there's something about, I think one of the things that's really fun about watching Ben Affleck is Ben is kind of carrying whatever perception you have of him outside of the movies into the movie, like
Right.
kind of had some troubles. He's a big dude. You forget that he's kind of a tough guy about certain things.
Hmm.
And so like seeing him and Matt going off of each other is just the best thing in the world, particularly when it's a moral question of money, and that stuff gets real tense. Like
Yeah.
these stash houses have very specific they come from very specific places, and it's typically a very specific amount of money.
Right.
And then all the variables are a little different in this one. Like, and other entities outside of the law get involved, and it gets wacky crazy. And it takes place in a really like quiet cul-de-sac, which makes it even weirder. And then it just escalates, and you don't know who's involved, and it kind of, I do like that they explain the job more than they explain um kind of the intricacies of the stakes until you get into the stakes. You know
Right.
what I mean? They do rips, and then they're like, why would this isn't that big of a deal that they want to do something. This seems like this happens all the time. They do something a little later at night than normal, and then you're like, okay, this isn't super normal for them. This part isn't super normal. This part isn't super normal, and then it just gets weirder and weirder, and the pieces get weirder, and the
Yeah.
characters get more mysterious, and people are talking a little more vaguely around each other than you normally would. It's a fun whodunit sort of thing that really almost honestly feels like a horror film to me. There's something about the way that like those crime movies turn crazier, like the forces that are kind of trying to hurt you. You don't know who they are. You don't know where they're coming from. That almost mirrors
Right.
a horror film. There's some shots in it that feel very much like Jason coming through the door, and you don't know who's on the other side. um, Characters just disappearing for long periods of time. It's just like it's a fun ass movie. And again, if you're a Training Day fan, if you're an End of Watch fan, um, there's another one. I cannot remember the name of the other one. Um, but those like LA dramas where they send some rookies out to do something and it gets a little weird. Those are my jam, and I could tell that Steve likes those too.
Yeah.
And this is just a fun movie from start to finish. Whether it's Ben Affleck fighting his brother in the beginning in the office, and his brother calling him a bully, who is clearly bigger than him. It's like this funny thing dynamic that exists between them.
Yeah.
He just screams like, "You're a bully," which is really fun. But yeah, it's one of those ones that I think that I'm gonna probably watch a bunch of times. And the shootout scenes are visceral. Like it feels like I like who's in Sasha Cali, is that her name?
Oh
Sasha,
yeah, yeah, that's who it
who
was.
who plays Supergirl
I couldn't remember her last name.
in that in the Flash movie is in it, who plays a little more subtle role where she is in the stash house that they're coming into, and she's kind of acting her ass off in this little. She's not moving around too much, but she's doing a lot of face acting when they ask about the house, and it's like, why is her face doing that? What is that? What is that? Why is she making these faces?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's a lot of good little. Almost feels like a western, almost in that way. But yeah, it's if you like crime thrillers, if you like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, especially those two being just assholes to each other the whole movie. It's a fun one. 10 out of 10, man. And I don't, how I feel about Netflix movies. I think this is a banger of a movie. It just feels like, and I've heard good things about that other one, the one with The Amazon one apparently is
The
really good.
wrecking party, the
Yeah,
wrecking crew.
that's supposed to be really, really good.
Oh, cool.
Like should have been in the movies, like The Rip should have been in the movies, sort of feel. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of enjoying these like mid-level movies going to streaming. I kind of wish they would have a theatrical run, but I don't know if they're ever. I'm hoping that with this WB thing, that they'll also treat some of their movies like maybe they'll give a WB movie the theatrical treatment, and they're like, oh shit, they made $50 million, and they're like, it'd be crazy if we put The Rip out there and see what happens, or
Sure.
yeah, it'd be nice to see some of that stuff in the theater.
Yeah, I didn't realize this one wasn't theatrical in any way.
Right. It sounds like a theatrical film.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I guess that's not the first time that's happened, though, where I just assumed something had some like token release somewhere, but I guess not.
Yeah.
Isn't Joe Carnahan problematic now? Didn't we hear some bad news about him?
Is he? I don't know.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
I wasn't aware.
I'm not going to look it up now, but I'm just going to say I think I saw something, but you never know. If you don't dig deep enough, sometimes you can't tell what's
Yeah, I don't know.
what's actual news and what's something that's just them trying to report something in a salacious way.
Before I say what I'm going to say, I'm not saying that this is Joe Carnahan, but what seems to be happening in the last couple of weeks is you look up a person and they're arm in arm with Jeffrey Epstein. That seems to be like the thing the last 2-3 weeks. It's like everybody has met him, has chilled with him,
Right.
It's wild.
I mean, which is like not great,
not putting that on him.
But also, it doesn't mean necessarily.
Doesn't mean anything besides
because some people are in there because they were at parties that he was at, not necessarily even a party that he
for
threw.
sure.
But if he was involved in, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not in any stretch of the imagination right now trying to absolve anybody of anything. I'm just saying that a name popping up in those files does not mean they're connected to anything too bad. But there are certain people that when you hear about their involvement, you're like, oh, okay. Once you're on the jet, that's a little bit
on
extreme.
the jet to Holiday.
Yeah, and then when you're on the island, then all bets are off. But like if you're just in the same circles with him, I mean, again, that's the problem is that this guy was so connected, So, I mean, that's not the problem, but I mean, that's what
we're looking at you, Chris Tucker.
That's what made what he did so evil is that he, had access to so many important people, and that they all knew him, and that they all wrote emails for shit. These people were terrible email writers. Like I thought that there was some kind of finishing school that all these rich people went to, where they like learned how to structure sentences and stuff. But no, they are terrible.
Yeah,
terrible. Just shit syntax, guys.
Yeah, and what Trump calls black women, like get him out of here. By the way, just get him out of here, man.
Why aren't enough people saying that? Get that guy out of here.
Get that guy out of here. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all political.
Hey,
I feel like some of
folks, I'm going to call Washington D.C. Ronald. I'm going to get him on the phone, and I'm going to say, get that guy out of here.
Get that guy.
Come on.
Get him the heck out of here.
And then I'm going to hang up.
Dag nabbit. You got to say dag nabbit.
They hear me saying dag nabbit as the phone moves away from my face and I slam it down. Dag nabbit. So since neither of you saw Send Help, the new Sam Raimi film starring Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien, I'll talk about it in as little of spoilery fashion as I can. If you know the premise of this film, you know a lot of what it is. It's a sort of survival drama, comedy, thriller, horror, whatever, romance? Question mark? No, not really. But these characters, but it does subvert expectations every step of the way. It starts off making you feel like you're going to see a kind of you go girl sort of thing about the competent woman working underneath a blowhard man who then the tables are turned in the most dramatic way possible when they crash on a desert island, and Rachel McAdams' character like loves the show Survivor, and so she's just a nut for survivalist stuff. And so when they get out there on the island, she knows how to do everything. She knows how to gather water. She knows how to make a fire. She knows how to catch things. And her boss, Dylan O'Brien, who gets stuck out there with her, is, kind of an empty suit in a sense. It's like we find out there's more to him than meets the eye, but in general, he's playing the kind of character that, again, if you've seen the trailer, you can see he's just like a jerk. And he deliberately, he says he's like disgusted by her status as like an older kind of frumpy woman. And so it's like there's humor in the way he acts about her. Like when he meets her, she has like a little bit of tuna salad on her face and he can't get over it. And he's like so disgusted when he shakes her hand, and he has a little bit of like tuna salad on his hand after he shakes her hand. So it's got little moments like that are very funny, but also feel very believable, like feel very relatable to this idea that there are probably people coming in when the new president is younger than you and looks at you and is disgusted by you. You're not like, basically any woman who he doesn't find attractive is useless to him, is kind of what you think is this character. And that might be true of him. It's a little bit less battle of the sexes than it starts off being. I guess that's kind of my point in all that, is this movie could have very well just been a kind of feminist parable about these tables being turned. And with Sam Raimi behind the camera and with these actors on screen, that would be fine. It would be enough. But the movie is doing something more genre-fied and more, it's trying to keep you on your toes a little bit more than that, and switch you around a little bit as far as like what's actually happening here. And I think it was, for me overall, it was like I really, really enjoyed this movie. This is about like 2/3 or 3/4 of a great movie, and then there's some stuff that just didn't work for me as well, that's just kind of spread out through the movie. Certain turns or certain points like don't feel as strong as the super strong stuff we're getting. Like this is Sam Raimi kind of having fun. I think it falls short for me of the bar of Drag Me to Hell, as far as like Sam Raimi's back in the world of no IP, back in the world of making what he refers to as a spookablast movie, which is like a roller coaster ride kind of approach to a movie. And Sam Raimi has always been shameless. If you listen to him talking about developing the Evil Dead films, he's rather shameless about trying to goose the audience. Like he wants to get the maximum roller coaster effect when he makes a movie like this. And this movie has certain moments where like, okay, if Sam Raimi has a movie where it hinges on a plane crash and two people are on the island and there's a plane full of guys and he makes them all assholes, Sam Raimi's going to have some fun with when this plane starts to crash, with the fact that it's a plane full of assholes. I mean, so it's like there's certain moments of just nasty glee with like weird gore and weird violence that happens, and it is somehow the same as his early stuff, and yet it is a little different now when you have actors like Rachel McAdams in it, kind of classing it up a little bit. But she's apparently someone who he really enjoyed working with on the Doctor Strange movie in the Multiverse of Madness, where she didn't have a lot to do, but he really liked how technical her approach was, apparently. Like she would ask him in this shot, now what angle do you want me to hold my head at? And he's famously a very technical director. When you think about his camera work, there has to be a lot of like, okay, you need to, when you come in, you need to turn this way so that your shoulder's right here and so that this angle is all this. Like, some actors don't like working with Sam Raimi because he wants to like position you sort of in the shot. But apparently Rachel McAdams really, was somebody he wanted to work with. So the idea that they're kind of collaborating, and whoever the lead in a Sam Raimi movie is, and Dylan O'Brien gets a lot of this too, it's like you can't help but think of Bruce Campbell and all the shit that they put Bruce Campbell through on those Evil Dead movies. And that Sam Raimi kind of likes to put his lead actors through stuff. He likes to blast them with blood and goo and throw them around and stuff. And so it's fun to see Rachel McAdams kind of take her lumps and have her fun in this kind of crazy material. And I'll say this, Dylan O'Brien is turning out to be an actor that I'm really enjoying watching. I mean,
he's great.
He wasn't really on my radar that much before the Saturday Night Live movie, but I thought he was like weirdly good as young Dan Aykroyd, and which is a weird character to try to capture, I think, because we don't really have a definite picture of young Dan Aykroyd in our heads, always. So I don't know. I loved his performance in that, and I thought in this, like, the movie is definitely calling on him to be just like a character who you have fun kind of despising, but you also get into his head a little bit, and he makes this guy, and fun to watch, and not just because you love to hate him, but fun to watch because he's kind of a funny character, and it's like he kind of gets his comeuppance right away and often. So it's not like you can hate a character that much when they're constantly, it's like Wile E. Coyote. It's like their shit's constantly blowing up in their face. So yeah, I think once you guys have seen it, there's stuff to sort of, pick apart or nitpick about, like certain structural things. I think there's a little bit of story logic there. This movie definitely has a heightened tone, and I'm not suggesting it shouldn't have that tone, but there's some story logic that's not as consistent or as clear as it could have been. And there's a couple of turns, like there's a couple of things that are just like, I think they made a weird call, but ultimately where the movie ends up, it's like, you can totally see why Sam Raimi would like to make this kind of movie where it's almost like an amoral approach. Like, you're not watching a movie about a good person overcoming and triumphing over adversity. You're watching a movie about, like, fucked up people doing fucked up things, and so it can be a little nastier for that reason. So yeah, I think
so as they say in Australia, you watch the movie about a dickhead.
a dickhead.
A dickhead. Hey, dickhead.
But yeah, what's fun about this is there are moments in the film where Rachel McAdams' character is not far from a dickhead herself. And so it's like that does, again, it's like, I will say, I think the movie kind of spins through its hook and its concept, and you're sitting there about halfway in and you realize it's got to take some more turns, but some of those turns are really fun and satisfying. But I am a little impressed overall with just how it's like how much of a two-hander they keep it. Like, they resist bringing in too many other characters to kind of dispel the energy between the two of them. And that just means at some points you have to really stretch to make their relationship keep working after the shit that they do to each other.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this. You're talking about it, and even some other friends of mine have seen it. Like, I'm very excited to see this one.
Yeah, I think you would like it. I mean, I think almost anybody would have a blast with it. And then whether the movie 100% works for you or not, that's a different question. But as far as, like, should this be seen on a big screen with a crowd if possible, this is that movie. And it's great to see Sam Raimi do it, not just once in his career, but do it again after a bunch of more kind of classy, big budget movies, to come back and make a sort of spookablast. Spookablast.
What else? Anything else you guys seen?
I'll just throw out that I finished Wonder Man and I love it.
Oh, good.
I love it. And my son didn't watch it, and we were like, you need to watch this. And he said, okay. And he started watching it, and then we just kind of sat down and pretty much watched the whole fucking thing again over the course of a couple of days. And I don't really do that often, but this was a really pleasurable rewatch. So I think that just indicates the kind of, like, there is some fun to see it a second time knowing where it's going, but it's a movie that pretty much wears its intentions on its sleeve throughout. It's a very gettable show from the start. But, Ronald, don't you think that, like, there's something, they just got something right. The mix here feels really good. And the fact that the showrunner here is the same guy that's going to be doing the Spider-Man, or that has directed the Spider-Man movie that we're going to get before too long.
Oh, nice.
And he did Shang-Chi, so it's like we talk about those names within Marvel that, like, we like James Gunn or whatever, or we have opinions about the Russo brothers or whatnot. But this, what's his name, Dustin Daniel Cretton or something like that.
Creighton, yeah.
I mean, he's someone who I now am sort of looking at as, oh yeah, he's got a good track record with this stuff. So I have after Wonder Man, I have even higher hopes for Brand New Day, the Spider-Man movie. Because one of the things about that is it's supposed to be street level, right? It's supposed to be like grounded. Yeah. And I think one of the things that Wonder Man manages to do beautifully is, I mean, whether this is a spoiler or not, but keeping the superhero stuff to an absolute minimum really worked for this show. I don't think they should do that with every project, but it does make me think, oh, I could see this team or just that sensibility matching up well with street level Peter Parker. So
great show.
I'm looking forward to that one too. So many things to watch, guys. I gotta get it going. The list just getting out of control, man. I gotta say though, it's like losing track of stuff that's coming out.
Yeah. I just want to mention one show that I'm watching on Amazon Prime. It's an anime called The Darwin Incident. It's about a chimpanzee that was bred with a human, and they call him a humanzee. And he has this supernatural ability, has some social issues as well. And there's a terrorist group that kind of wants to capture him and figure out why he is the way he is. And they're very against animal testing. But that also means that they're blowing things up, which contradictory, but I guess a lot of terrorism groups are kind of contradictory in that way. But it's an interesting take on societal norms, and this character Charles is kind of away from it in that way because he's not a normal person, so he has these interesting takes on humanity and the way that we handle things, and but he also has the strength of like 10 men in a very short person's body. But yeah, it's the Darwin Incident on Amazon Prime, and it's being released weekly and translated. So it's 5 episodes in so far, and I've been really enjoying it.
Cool.
Nice, man. I got nothing, man. So we'll guess I'll watch The Dutchman. Obviously, Ronald's pick, The Dutchman. That's on. Is that rental digital?
Yeah, rental
purchase?
Right now.
Okay.
It just came out. It just came out the other day.
Okay.
The Dutchman.
And I guess whatever else we watch between now and then. Anything else you guys want to mention before we wrap it up?
Not I.
Not I.
Not I. All right, cool. Well, that's an episode. Thank you so much for listening. You can go to movieshmovie.com for the podcast links. Listening right there on the website. You can subscribe if you prefer the audio option at a bevy of options on the website. We also have the youtube.com/movieshmovie podcast. If you could go there, videos are up on that channel. You can do the long, short option for the videos. We can also just, if you don't even want to look at your screen and just play it, you can just do an audio version if you want to do that. That's all on the YouTube channel as well. If you go to that, please subscribe. Please hit the little bell for notifications so you know when new episodes come out. We'd appreciate it. Any of those things, if you could do any of them, tell someone you know to do one of them. That'd be great. Be very kind of you.
Make them.
Well, yep. You could just do that too.
Make them do it.
It's at that point, right?
Study them, find out what their weaknesses are, and use those weaknesses to make them follow or subscribe or rate or review.
That works.
Yeah.
I'd say just do what John just said.
It's a simple arrangement. Let them know this. Let them know this. It's a simple arrangement.
Yeah.
I'll leave you and your family alone. If you just rate or review or follow or subscribe Movie Schmovie.
Hey, don't you got a little girl?
It's a nice house. Be ashamed if something happened to it.
Be ashamed if her legs got broken on the way to school, eh? But you wouldn't do anything like that, right? You'd subscribe. You wouldn't want to fuck up your whole life like that, would you?
You wouldn't risk that.
Okay.
Not when it's a simple matter of rating or reviewing or following or subscribing. wherever you get your podcasts. All right, we had our fun, Steve. You can sign us off.
Yeah.
I was just enjoying it myself. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week with a new episode. But as always, you've made our day. Thanks.
Bye.